Calvin.
Are you ready?
I'm trying to get there.
Okay.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. I remember when you traded Micah Parsons, you said you addressed the team. Now on the return, will you talk to them about the anticipation and all those kinds of things?
No. Again, they're all excited to see Micah. Like I said, I'm excited to see Micah before the game. Maybe not on the field because he's such a good player. But no, I mean the guys know Micah's coming back. It'd be great to see him. And no, it's a normal week, another championship opportunity.
What would you say to when people say, without him, your defense has not been the same? It's not been as good.
I would say that we have not been playing to the standard we want to play to. But if we had Micah, you can't predict that we'd be playing any better. You can't predict we'd be playing any better, any worse. Are you 3-0? Are you 0-3? You don't know. I mean, those are projections. So, again, we're focused on the things that we need to get better at. We realize we got to get more pressure on the quarterback, but we also have to cover and communicate better. And those things don't change, and they're not going to change. When we play well, they're not going to change. And so our job as coaches is to always look for solutions when you're doing things poorly, and when you're doing things well, you find different and better ways to sustain that success. So process never changes.
Clarence Hill, DLLS Cowboys. You talked yesterday, Monday, about solutions and possible lineup changes, roster changes. Have you made any of those decisions yet?
We've started the process. We've had some discussions, but part of those discussions and decisions will be based off how practice goes. So, we'll see how today goes. Good padded practice today. Another practice tomorrow, obviously, before we have the final dress rehearsal on Friday. But, yes, we've had those discussions. No, I'm not going to share those with you. But the reason I'm not sharing them is because they're not finalized until we get through this week of practice and finalize Friday afternoon. Hey, yeah, let's do this. Let's make this move. And but there'll be some things that feel a little different to the guys just from a rotation standpoint.
Talk about the loss of Tyler Booker, and the plans to replace him. Is it T.J. Bass, or you look at some other guys?
Yeah. Again, Book's been playing well. He's been growing. Again, the biggest thing for a young rookie like that is just the leadership that he brings, and there'll be guys that have to step up in that regard. But we'll try a few guys over there. TJ will get some shots at it, some ops. Got Trevor Keegan, who we're excited about. Hakeem Adeniji, got some flex, but we'll see how those guys compete. But tough break for us.
Brian, Todd Archer with ESPN. Does it help that your tackles have practiced against Micah the last couple of years with Guyton and Steele and getting ready for a guy like this?
I think at the end of the day, our guys all know Micah, and again, I hope because they know him. But guess what? He knows us, and he knows the way they set. So look, Micah's a great player. Micah's going to make plays. I'll just put that out there. Like Micah's going to make plays. Does he get a sack? Shit, I hope not, but he might. He's pretty good. But I think our guys are going knowing we've got a good plan. It takes more than one guy to block Micah. But let's not forget, Rashawn Gary's a hell of a rusher too. I mean, this is a defense that's got incredible speed with Cooper and Walker and Micah and Rashawn. And, I mean, they're deep and they're fast. And so our ability to have success against the Packers defense will be about a whole lot more than just Micah because Micah's a great player, but just adding Micah to the mix doesn't negate the fact that they've had really good players there before Micah got there.
Without CeeDee likely this week, how much does it fall on Dak to elevate guys even more around him in your mind?
I think Dak has to worry about Dak. We've got a good plan for how we try to maneuver the personnel groupings, Todd, but it's hard to replace CeeDee. But injuries are part of the game, and they're probably going to be out there tackle. And so you lose players, and next man up, you move up, and the one thing it's never can be and never will be is an excuse. We're good enough to beat the Packers without CeeDee and Book and the guys that we could be missing. But the only way you do that is if you play well and you execute. And if you don't, you put yourself in a tough spot. So we have to do that, and that starts with today's practice.
John Machota with The Athletic. What's the plan this week for Jadeveon Clowney? Will he be a full go and be ready to go for Sunday?
again, not going to put that timetable on it yet, John, but again, he'll work more. This is the second week. He's more comfortable with the things we're trying to do. We're working to get him active, but we'll see. There's the numbers game and things that you have to look at. Obviously, we've got to make some decisions about IR. Do we put somebody to IR? Do we not? We don't have to make that decision today. We're not going to make that decision probably today. You got to get through a day or two. But Jadeveon's doing everything and trending towards playing. Now, that being said, let's see how today's practice goes. Let's see how this week of prep goes. Let's see how he is in the meetings. Let's see how he's retaining the information. But the hope would be to get him out there, and if we can, we will, and if we can't, we won't.
You obviously have a lot on your plate as the head coach and offensive play caller, but when there's defensive issues like this the last couple of weeks, is there anything about your schedule or anything that you do that changes to where maybe you are looking maybe some more at the defense than you normally would be?
I think, I always try to spend some time with the guys. I always watch a game with them. I'm very involved on game day with ideas and suggestions, and I'm on top of the issues that come up. I had some really good conversations with Flus. That's no different this week. Flus gets the fact that we need to play better. He's, very honest. He's not been through this before, and had, a string of 2 games like this where you're just kind of, hurting yourself and you're having self-inflicted wounds, and you're doing some of it as a coaching staff and some of it as players. And, part of that is, okay, well, let's look at it. Let's talk about it. Had some great, feedback with the defensive staff, and we've got a good plan in place. We're going to simplify a few things. Like I said the other day on Monday, doesn't mean we're going to play one front, one coverage. But we are going to simplify some things in a good way. And, we've looked very closely at what we do well. There's things that we do well. And we have to do more of those. And that's what we're kind of looking at. And, again, we'll implement a lot of stuff today.
What would you say you guys are doing well on defense?
I would say we've had stopping the run would be the first thing that jumps out. You had a guy like Kenny Clark. That was important to us. You guys know that going back to the trade. I think we've forced some third down and longs. So we've won some on first down. The areas that we're struggling would be obviously getting off the field on third down. I think we're worst in the league at that. That needs to get better. It will get better. And then the turnovers have to come. We have to generate takeaways. Momentum-building plays are really important when you play this style of defense and you play the way we want to play as a football team in terms of running the football as an offense, stopping the run on defense, taking the ball away, and protecting the football. Obviously, the standard of protecting the football has not been good enough either.
Nick Harris, Forward Star Telegram. In 2022, when you had that role with Dan Quinn, working with him, using the opponent's offensive game plan and scheme to figure out the weaknesses with the Cowboys defense, is there anything you can draw from that experience to help in game planning against Micah Parsons this week?
I think I know Micah pretty well. They move him around a lot, which is great. I'm not going to give away our game plan for Micah, but, we'll pay a lot of attention to Micah. But like I said, they've got other really good players as well. Micah can be dominant, and we know that. But we're going to hit him, and we're going to put multiple people on him. And you know what? It's going to be a long day for us and the guys trying to block him because he's that talented. But it's not just about Micah. It's about their entire defense. But really, it's about us. It's about us controlling what we control. And those guys out there on defense, including Micah, Rashawn, Gary, those guys are great, great players, man. But if we get caught up too much on them, then you lose focus on what really matters, which is your execution.
And then, is there a plan today for Deron Bland?
Yeah, see if we can work him back in today. It'd be a good day to get him out there and see how he does. But I think he's trending towards playing, hopefully. And let's see how today goes.
Tommy Arsh, DallasCowboys.com. Jordan Love, where have you seen him kind of take the next steps as a starter since, I know you don't want to remember 2023, but since you guys last saw him?
He looked pretty good in 2023, that last game I saw him play. I think the command of it, he's been in the system now for a while. You see him getting through progressions. You see him, knowing where everybody is, checking the ball down. The guy's really an excellent passer. But I just think, you see a mastery in the system a little bit, really good at the play action stuff. They obviously run the ball very well because of the back. Josh is a great player, and I like what they do. I think what they're doing with Jordan, the system is excellent because they can run the ball, but the play passes are excellent off of it. And I just see a guy that's maturing. You see his eyes move, his progression. He's balancing the defense in zone. He does a good job of moving people to the right, knowing he wants to go back to his left. And for a guy that loves watching quarterback play, it's been fun for me to watch his evolution.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Brian, you talked about in week 1, you showed CeeDee your call sheet. It was the CeeDee plays, then the George Pickens plays. Is it as simple with CeeDee trending toward not playing that all the Pickens plays get pushed to the top of the call sheet where CeeDees were?
Well, we add more rows for more guys. Fergie's going to have a big section this week. Fergie's playing really well right now. I think I really like the way all of our tight ends are playing. Jalen Tolbert's a guy that, you guys all know, led us in touchdowns last year with 7 touchdowns. He'll have to step up if CeeDee doesn't play. Turp will have his. But, George is always going to be a focal part of what we're doing, whether CeeDee's out there or not. And that really doesn't change. I would say George's role doesn't really change. It's more of some of the other guys around him that will change.
How do you feel like George's on-field relationship with Dak has progressed and where it's at 3 weeks into the season?
I think it's great. I think those guys have a great relationship. I think they talk all the time, and I couldn't ask for more.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. I can't imagine that training camp you were thinking you'd be game planning against Micah Parsons. How do you reflect on the Micah saga, and how weird is it to be in this week where you're game planning against him?
I really haven't thought about Skyler. It's a good question. I mean, you really don't have time to think about it. It's just, it's like we play Micah this week in the Green Bay Packers, and this next week we play Keenan Williams, and it's like that's what this league is about, so you really don't take the time to think about it. Like, if you truly do believe, which I truly do believe, that each week is its own week and you can't get too high, you can't get too low, then I literally haven't spent a lot of time going, man, can't believe we're playing Micah this week. It's like, damn, who's number 1? He's really good. He's fast. Wow. You don't do that. You just, okay, he's a good player. Then, ooh, who's 52? Rashawn Gary, he's really good. So it's each week you have to separate that. And I think that's where teams have success, is when they're able to do that. You compartmentalize and you focus and you say, okay, who we got to stop this week? Well, the list is pretty long in Green Bay on defense and on offense with the weapons that they have and the quarterback. And then next week the Jets present a different problem. And then whoever we play next, maybe Carolina, whoever it is, I don't even know. You have the same issues. So I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about that.
You've said that a couple of times after just another week. Was your dad kind of an influence on that when you sort of watched him in high-profile weeks? Were there other guys that you kind of observed when it was a high-profile game and how they kind of treated the week?
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. Yesterday was his birthday, so I love you, Dad. I know you're looking down on me. Yeah, he was. He was that way. He was very much a theme of the week guy. I don't think I'm as much of a theme of the week guy. He had Raider Week, and he had different things that he would talk about. But he was very matter of fact. And I actually used one of his things today. I said, to the guys in the team meeting, I said, our goal this week is to go 1-0. And it's really your goal every week. But, you can't look back on Chicago. You can't look back on the Giants. The goal is to go 1-0 this week. Well, how do you do that? Well, you focus on today's meeting. Then you focus on today's practice. You pay attention to details. But I think that was the strength of his, the fact that he was going to – he'd put his blinders on, man. And even, when I was a kid, he'd come home and it'd be, 10:30 at night or whatever, and he'd be in the zone. And I'd be like, Dad. And he'd be like, oh, yeah, sorry. That's what happens to us, because we just we get going, and your mind doesn't stop.
Joe.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. Building off the scouting Micah question, obviously you know him. Do you, when you turn on the film, say, hey, I'm going to wipe the slate clean and just see what the film says, or do you kind of build up what you know about him and kind of pair that with what you see on film?
That's a good question. No, I think, knowing Micah keeps you up even more at night, because I've seen him do things that I haven't seen him do yet in Green Bay. It means it's in there. I know he has it. I know he has those tools. But like I said, man, I can't wait to see Micah. I really can't. I really, he's been a huge part of this organization, and just be great to see him before the game kicks off, and then hopefully after the game.
You guys have been running the ball well, and I know game situation, score, time, down and distance can affect play calling, but is there an element of maybe perseverance where saying, hey, I know this situation might say, we probably should pass the ball a little bit more, but we're running the ball well. Is there an element of perseverance when it comes to that maybe you invoke?
Yeah, I mean, I would say last week, I mean, we made the decision when they finally made it 31-14, and I think it was early in the fourth quarter, maybe right after the interception. We knew we had to go. That's the word I would use. We had to go. I mean, like, you got to speed the game up. You can't, you need possessions. You need three. So you're down 3 scores. You got to go. And so it's not how you want to play it, but if you wait too late, then you're never going to have a chance to do the things that you do. It's a fine line. It's not what you want to do, but at that point, I think it was the right thing. And we were close in a few situations. It would have been great to get a touchdown in there and make them have to kind of play. And but it's a decision that you kind of have to do. But to me, you can't be half in, half out. You got to be like, all right, we're going to go, or let's take it one more series. And I've been on both sides of those, where it works and then where it doesn't.
Saad
Yusuf of The Athletic. Brian, you've spoken glowingly about Hunter Lipke. He has limited offensive snaps so far this season. What have you seen from him in terms of his abilities, and how is he best used in the offense?
Yeah. Number one, his ability is amazing. You guys know I talk about him all the time, very glowingly. He is just the perfect Swiss pocket knife, if you will. He can play fullback. He can run the ball. He can play tight end for us. But we also have a couple very good young tight ends that we like as well. And the thing that doesn't get talked about with Hunter is when he's not playing 20 snaps for us, 25 snaps for us, which quite honestly, he probably won't play that many snaps for us. I mean, him playing 20 snaps is probably a good number for him that you'd want to get for him in a 70-play game. He's also playing 28 to 35 plays on special teams. So the value of Hunter Lepke is that there's nothing he can't do. He ensures you of whatever you ask him to do, he's going to do it at a high level, and that's where the confidence comes in Hunter.
And you spent a lot of time throughout the offseason establishing relationships in various ways. This week, coming off of that loss, have you seen that manifest itself and kind of pay off the way that you've kind of approached the job?
I think so. I think our guys are in a good spot. I mean, like this is not going to be the last adversity we deal with this year, and I do believe that the culture and the strength of the culture that we have here is what's going to allow us, when the next setback happens, to overcome. There's a belief in this locker room in one another. There's a belief in the brotherhood. There's a belief in the fact that we do love and care about one another, and we will lay it on the line out there for us to have success. And that will pay dividends. Is it going to be this week? I don't know. I think our guys are in a good spot. Usually on Monday you come in, you grade the film, and by the time they get back in here on Wednesday, they're ready to go, knowing that there's a new op.
Sydney
Staples, Digital Sports coach. It's only week 4, and yes, this game is getting a lot of media attention. But does the outcome of a game this early on in the season, do you think it will have an impact on what the following weeks will look like? How much does it play into that?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a big game because it's the next game. The media and the fans want to build it up because of Micah coming back, and I understand that. I mean, I'm not naive enough to think that people don't want to talk about that. But it's just another opportunity. It's another chance for us to go out and play well. We did not play well enough against Chicago to beat them. So we lost. We found a way to play well enough at the right times against the Giants, and we beat them. And then Philadelphia, we had them where we kind of wanted them, and then we didn't finish it. But you literally take each game one at a time, and you say, okay, we have to play well. Are we going to win this game? I hope. I expect. But again, I'm never going to be the guy, oh, this is a must-win game. You have to do that. They're all must-wins. They're all must-wins. But the last time a team went undefeated was 1972. Did I get that right? Yes. I mean, that's the last time it ever happened. And it's all about finding a way to qualify for the playoffs and getting in the tournament and learning how to win.
Go.
You talked about maintaining focus, and you just mentioned just a lot of noise coming around into this week. Can you just tell me kind of what that message is to the team to just kind of block out all that periphery noise and kind of maintain focus on just this one?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, basically, we always try to focus on us. Like when we do our scouting report onto the Packers, I don't go deep into, okay, Matt LaFleur did a coach whatever, been there 7 years, boom, boom, boom. Okay, offensively, why? I mean, the focus should be on us. It should be on Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams, Kenny Clark, Kenneth Murray. We're playing cover 3. We're playing cover 2. We're going to run zone scheme right, zone scheme left, whatever those things are. Because if you truly believe it's about you and your execution is what's going to matter, and the opponent is out there to give you resistance, which I do, then you should spend more time worrying about yourself, knowing enough about the opponent that they're able to go out there and understand this is how our jobs might change based off of the opponent that we're playing.
All righty.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.